Good morning, friends. Now, I know some of y'all are probably wondering, okay, she says she's a therapist. Why is she so focused on deconstructing talk? Like why is she making it a mission to talk about our spirituality, our Christianity, our beliefs, our zodiacs? Why is she doing that? Because as a licensed clinical professional counselor, many of the things that contribute to the mental health disorders and symptoms that I see are heavily related to and rooted in religious practices and beliefs. I have a lot of people that I've encountered that are suffering from long term depression and anxiety as a result of Christianity or zodiac signs or beliefs. How? How is that impacting that? Okay. Example. Imagine you believing that there is something, someone, a force, a power, a spirit, a being, a something outside of yourself that you go to when you're in trouble, when you are sick, when you need money, when you need guidance, whatever the case. You go to it in the form of prayer, meditation, giving, sacrificing, practices, different types of things that you may do, including reading the horoscope. All of those things are your go tos to get support, answers, blah, blah, blah. After a while, maybe something comes along that's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit heavier, whatever the case may be. You put your belief system to the test and you pray or meditate or engage in something or light an incense, do a veneration, whatever it is that you do to get this activity of the outside of you working, and it doesn't work. And this same thing happens repeatedly. You keep praying, nothing. You keep believing, nothing. You keep questioning, nothing. You keep fearing, nothing, 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 nothing. So you start to develop a pattern of lying, meaning that even though it's not an intentional out and out, just straight up bold faced lie like the sky is green, but it is a lie because now you are saying that your job that you work every day, 5 days a week, 20 days out of the month, because 5 days a week times four ends up being 20, maybe a little longer if you have a long month, okay? You go to work, you don't miss work. Sometimes you work overtime for that work. You pay your bills. You have built up a little bit of credit where when you go to the bureau and fill out an application for car loan, they run your information and your number comes back, and your number shows that you are decent on paying your bills. It also shows that you don't have excessive debt, and you know what it gives you? A loan. And then you get a pretty decent interest rate or maybe a bad one for whatever the case may be. You went to go buy a car, you leave, you come home with the car, but you tell the story as if a miracle took place. There was no miracle. You go to work, you have credit, you apply for a loan, voila, car. There was no intervention outside of that. But you in your mind start attributing things like that. So when things like that don't come, you end up either covering for the entity not doing anything, or you get a big disappointment, but you stuff it. And then the next time you do it, then you stuff it again. And you start to develop a bit of a psychosis. You start to develop cognitive distortions. That means your mind starts distorting the facts about reality. You start believing things that aren't there. You start attributing your thoughts to a spirit, a God, a revelation talking to you when actually it's you. Even if it, oh, well, because I used to say this one, oh, well, God sound like your inside voice, but it make more sense. As if you have not been on earth indoctrinated and shaped by things that we've heard on TV, radio, movies, newspapers, books we've read, stories we've heard. All that stuff influences what's in our mind, including our mind deciphering and tearing things apart and steadily working on things, and you not even remembering that car ride you took when you were 7 years old and you guys were on the freeway for a day, going from one state to the next. All the different signs, all the different visuals, all the different colors have lodged into your subconscious, and they come forward when you need them, sometimes even when you don't. This is why I talk about it as a therapist, because it leads to depression, it leads to anxiety, it leads to psychosis, it leads to trauma, religious trauma. There's a lot of people that even are harming people right to this day because they said, I don't want to believe in this no more. And like, oh, well, you got church hurt? Okay, so somebody gets slapped in the mouth. You blaming them for feeling pain? Somebody got hurt in church. That's the place where they're supposed to just roll it off their shoulders. Because church hurt them, led them astray. You found out something was a lie. You couldn't rely on them when you were in trouble. So now you're hurt because somebody embarrassed you. But somehow in church, hey, that's okay. So you're teaching to people to accept abuse. All of those people show up in my sessions. And then to get them to be in their life, in their own feelings, and accept accountability for poor decisions, poor choices, for faulty thinking. Ooh, honey. Ooh. It's a rough one. But I have empathy for them. You know why? Because I am y'all. I am them. I'm a part of the people that believed in the nonsense before. And every now and then I got to have a meeting with myself. Like, girl, is some negative happening? It's got your name written all over it. You can't escape it. You're going to have to deal with the consequences of this. You're the one that's going to have to suffer through the next year because you made one poor choice and it's going to take you a year to fix yourself. Ain't going to be no magic. So get in your feelings, be sad, be disgusted, be angry with yourself. And after we're done with all that, all the residue that's left over, take that same energy that you was using and rebuild. Yep, you're going to have to check in because it's going to hurt. Because you're going to still be angry with yourself. You're going to grieve. You're going to go through a process. All of this stuff is ignored and washed away with these practices until they can't be washed away anymore. My hope is for my people to come get some therapy. So if you ever get to the place where you can deconstruct and let all that other nonsense go, at least you'll have a real safety net to protect you and help you, as opposed to fighting with your family and your friends who are just as afraid as you are, just as afraid as I was to let it go. They're not going to talk you down. They're not going to help you. They're going to scare you. Oh, you walking away from the Lord. Oh, let me pray for you. Oh my God. Yeah. So all that, I said what I said, and I hope y'all listen. Because that's just what I'm here for. And I figured out why I'm making all these videos. I'm going to learn how to put this together. I'm going to turn this into a nice little situation for y'all. I've been talking about it, but I got to figure out how to convert the videos into written text and turn it into my series, my books, my literature based on my good old Christian experience, my good old experience with old wives' tale, my good old experience with practices rooted in hoodoo and voodoo. Oh, because I got them, baby. My grandmother was born in 1898, and I think she was known to be a healer, but we didn't say that very often. I think the older people said that because there was evidence that she did operate in the root work and all that stuff, just based on some of the home remedies that she came up with when I was sick as a child. I remember distinctly her using a root called asphyxita. It's popular in the Native American culture, and I'm sure I butchered the name of it. But she kept it in a liquor bottle, and it probably had liquor mixed in it. And I remember I got really, really sick with a bad cold, and I had to take a shot of that stuff. And I don't know if it was the stuff that made me feel better or just the fact that it was nasty, that my body was like, we won't be doing this again. So yeah. Lots of history there, rich history. And I'm glad that I'm old enough to know where stuff came from so that when I challenge it, I don't feel like I'm making no mistakes. All right, y'all have a great day. Bye.